You keep dancing with the devil.
I will be shocked if this movie does not make my top 10 of the year of 2025. I've seen some all right movies this year so far, but this is the first one that I will definitely be picking up a physical copy of when it comes out. Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan twice, plays two characters. This movie is fantastic. This is something that you will definitely want to see in the theaters. I mean, it will not be for everybody, but this was definitely right up my alley. And of all the movies he's made, like, I loved Creed. He made the Black Panther movie, but this by far, I think, is his best film. And if this is the direction he continues to go in, please, Ryan Coogler, give us more badass balls to the wall horror movies, because this was awesome. But it does not discount character, and I think that's the thing that makes this movie stand out, that will make this movie stand out, as opposed to any other run-of-the-mill movie with vampires. Yes, this is a vampire movie. I think that's in the trailers. Oh, it is in the trailers. The thing about this movie is that it reminded me a lot of From Dusk Till Dawn, and I mean that in the best way possible, in that it deals with two characters that are not exactly law-abiding citizens by any stretch of the imagination, but instead of the brothers Seth and Richie, we have the brothers here, Smoke and Stack. Those are their code names, and they are both played by Michael B. Jordan. But they do have two very distinctive personalities, and also they usually have one of the characters wearing something red and another one of the characters wearing something blue, so they're pretty easy to tell apart. As well as in the first half of the movie, two of them both go off to do different things, so you're dealing with each character individually, so it's not confusing, the fact that they're both Michael B. Jordan. Not as confusing as you would think it is, because the very beginning of the movie spends a lot of time with both characters individually, so you really get to learn their characters, so when they are together later on in the film, there's not really any question about who's who. But anyways, let's talk about the story of this movie very briefly. I'm going to try not to get into spoilers in this video. Essentially, this movie takes place sometime in the early 1930s, and we have these two characters, Smoke and Stack, two brothers that come back down to the South, and they decide to use this money, of which they have lots of, and it's a little bit of a mystery at first as to how they got so wealthy, but they have a bunch of money, and they buy this big barn, and they plan to throw this epic party. Essentially, they're going to make some money, they're going to invite everybody that they knew when they were down, and everyone's going to have a good time, basically just having the time of their lives at this festival, playing music, and specifically the blues, which is a very big theme and thread that goes to this movie. The idea of the blues, why people sing it, what they sing it for, and where it could possibly take them, and also the power of music and how it is able to affect different people in different stages of their lives, and also people through time. And one of the most creative and interesting, and probably the best shot of this movie, this might be a little bit of a spoiler. It doesn't spoil the story. It's just a creative, artistic stroke of the film, is that while this blues song is being played and everybody is celebrating, it speaks about how music kind of transcends time, and you can listen to something from any era, and if it connects with you, if it resonates with you on that deep emotional level, it's almost as if you're there. And there's this great one-take shot. There's a lot of one-take shots in this movie. I love oneers. But there's this great shot where it goes around the entire party, and you see different eras of people creating music. And it's sort of like an abstract, dreamlike scene, but it really is, I think, one of the most creative, interesting, and visually stunning moments of the entire movie. Probably my favorite scene. In a movie that involves tons of bloodshed, violence, and vampires, the fact that that's my favorite scene tells a lot about the storytelling of this movie and how good it actually is. Now, I don't want to oversell it also. It doesn't get as crazy as From Dusk Till Dawn, but it does get crazy, and it's structurally kind of the same way, where we build up and we learn about our characters early on. First half of the movie, you probably wouldn't even know it's a vampire film other than the opening teaser. And there's even a scene that introduces the vampire character that I almost wish they cut out of the movie just to make it's a bigger twist later on. And the other thing I loved about this movie is that it is very true to traditional vampire lore, which I, as a vampire purist, and I'm sick of seeing happy-go-lucky, nice, weak vampires all over the place. After Nosferatu from last year and this movie, I'm glad we're finally getting into the soulless monster creature of the night vibe of the vampires that I desperately need more of in movies. So here we have the traditional lore. Steak kills them, sunlight kills them. They need to be invited in, and they are evil versions of the person that they were as humans. So they still have their memories, their personality, but they're a soulless being that just wants to create more vampires and also have a hell of a good time, except with bloodshed. But not only that, you have a great supporting cast too. Haley Steinfeld is here, and she is fantastic in the movie. And I was so stoked to see Delroy Lindo. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't remember the last movie I saw this guy in, but this guy's awesome, and I love when he pops up in films, and he plays this old drunkard in the movie that is always playing the blues and the harmonica. He is kind of the comic relief character, but he works well. It doesn't take away from the rest of the movie. And I also think that this film has a pretty good handle on its sense of humor. Like, there is a lot of moments in it that are just genuinely funny, not because they're trying to be funny. They're not trying to make a joke. It's just the banter between the characters, whether it's one of Michael B. Jordan's characters trying to give sexual advice to somebody else, or if it's Delroy Lindo as the old drunk character doing drunk guy things, or, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of funny things that happen here that constantly are able to break the tension before it hits you over the head with something horrific once again. And I also have to give a lot of credit to the guy that plays the lead vampire. I'm not sure the actor's name, but he also does an incredible job. And that helps the film too, in the fact that I think everybody in this movie is super committed to what they're doing. So it doesn't come off as cheesy or silly in any kind of way. Like, you actually buy the things that are happening. Sticks to traditional vampire lore. There's lots of blood and gore. There's a great story here, and also just genuinely good action and action scenes that don't even involve vampires whatsoever. And on top of that, if you are a fan of the blues, or just generally a music fan in general, there are moments, entire sequences of this movie that feel like they're sort of in a music video. And I don't mean that as a negative. It actually works very well as a positive here. If I did have any negatives about this movie, for me personally, I kind of do wish they would have cut out the first scene with the vampire just to make a little bit more of a surprise and shock later on. Like, obviously going into it, I knew it was a vampire movie, but I think it would work even better without that initial introduction scene. And the movie is a bit long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Maybe they could have shaved a couple of minutes off it, but really, I don't really have any negatives here. But generally, I think it worked really well. There's stakes here, characters actually die. So it's not just like our characters can solve every single problem. You have to deal with the intricacies of the vampire lore and, being able to invite somebody in, or, the proper ways to kill them. There's even a scene that's sort of a little bit of an homage to The Thing, where they're trying to figure out if anybody in the barn is a vampire. And, I won't tell you what they're doing, but similar to the blood test, there's something that they do in the barn that was also a great little moment. And it really does feel like Ryan Coogler is channeling some of that energy. Like, you have characters trapped in one location. Like I said, it feels kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn, a little bit like The Thing, a little bit like Fright Night, at the end with the way the vampires look, a little bit of Salem's Lot. Vampires always have these glowing eyes that look really cool in the dark. And like the effects here, there is CGI, obviously, but there is a lot of practical effects too when it comes to the blood, which I appreciated. I'm not sure how they did the glowing eyes. It's probably CGI, but it looked really cool nonetheless. And the way that the lead vampire looks at the end of the movie, just wonderful. I'm sure there's going to be like GIFs and clips of that because he looks so badass. And it has a great finale too. Definitely stay not through the entire credits, but when the first initial credits come up, stay. There's like a 3-minute scene after that, so just in case you get up too early from the theater. And I do think the final scene that's in that credit sequence is very important to the movie, so just make sure that you stay seated for that. But yeah, honestly, I gotta say that I really enjoyed this movie, and maybe I'm just stoked that I'm in mid-April right now, and this is the first movie of 2025 that I actually really, really liked, like to the point of where I would own the movie. I always think Michael B. Jordan gives a good performance, but he gives 2 good performances in this movie. And like I said, as far as Ryan Coogler's filmography goes, I think this is by far my favorite film of his, and definitely worthwhile, especially to see in the theater. So I recommend it. I'd say check it out. Anyways, guys, if you like the movie Sinners, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Leave your thoughts, opinions, anything you want to say about it. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Please give it a thumbs up and a comment. Help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support me on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, all that stuff linked down below, as well as all the social media links where you can follow me. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you next time.